We are here, we make change to your life in every way. We expand on your mind, so you're never the same. In your health, in your wealth, in your body and soul. Pushing you to live life completely whole, so you grow and achieve all this purpose to be. We expect nothing less, no more mediocrity. We are greatest. 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 We are greatest.
I stumbled on this photograph. It kind of made me laugh. It took me way back down memory lane.
So there's a mother, probably mid-20s to late 20s, and she is the mother of 4 stair-step children.
As a child, I had to think about that a little bit.
One day she's in the house and all the kids are just having a good time from 1, 2, 3, 4 years old.
It's funny, not long ago I actually launched my own brand, Tonya Joyner-Scott, as the conversationalist. And a childhood friend of ours, he walked up to me and he said, "This isn't new. This is who you've always been." And it was kind of funny to me because I didn't realize that.
This mom is doing her hair in the bathroom. So her youngest child comes up and mom has this piping hot cup of coffee that's sitting on the counter beside her doing her hair. So this young child walks up, grabs the cup, pulls the cup down, and all of that hot boiling coffee just drops on the child.
As a child, I was one who always conversed with someone. You know, I listened to you. I would have the conversations. I would, embrace people. I paid attention to them. I paid attention to detail, and that's what I did.
Now, the child is wearing a onesie, the ones that zip all the way up. So the coffee drops in between, in the onesie, literally. The child is screaming. So the youngest child is screaming. All the other kids are there frantic. The young mom is frantic. The young mom is like, what am I going to do? So she has to make a lot of quick decisions.
I'm the second oldest of 4. And, being the second oldest of 4, the oldest girl, and, I'm one that wants to take care of the family. I can pretty much tolerate a whole lot. But if you start messing with my family, it brings out another side to Tonya.
The mom puts clothes on all the kids. She grabs that little baby, picks that baby up, and they hit the road, country road. They have to walk literally about a half a mile to her mother-in-law's house. The child is screaming, still screaming. The mom is trying to keep the other kids out of the street while she walks down the road. That little baby's just screaming, screaming, screaming.
I'd rather experience any and all kinds of hurts and disappointments and them not. Now that's the heart side of me. The growth side of me now realizes that, you can't really learn from the things that you get right. You learn more often from the things you get wrong.
And the mom reaches her mother-in-law's house, walks in and says, please help me. The grandmother grabs and pulls the zipper down, and the child's skin is matted to the onesie.
You learn more often from the mistakes that you made. So I know that now, but growing up, I didn't want that. I've been Climax, Salt and Pepper. I was Salt. I've been, do you remember the group, I believe it was 5 Star?
The grandmother grabs some, I think it's salve or something, and she rubs that little baby down, and the baby starts to calm down. That baby is me. I'm that baby. I actually still have the scar here on my chest.
We were actually asked to come and perform at family reunions. There was some type of event that happened in downtown Raleigh. There was this club, And that particular night, they had people come to perform. We were asked to come, so we did.
So who's Dexter? Dexter always gets into something. If I always like to see what's happening.
My best friend at that time, Veronica Martin, my sister, Erica, we got together and we became Salt and Pepper. We auditioned. They said, you're good. We were in the lineup and we got right up in there. We practiced day in and day out. We went shopping. We had the right outfits. We did what we needed to do and we came hard as whoever it was that we were going to be. That is some of the best memories that I can even think of from high school.
So I'm the youngest of four stair-step children. So I'm the youngest. Then there's my sister Hope. Then my brother Greg. Then our oldest sister Dawn. Dawn was born in January. Greg was born in March of the following year. Hope was born in August of the following year. I was born in October of the following year. So four stair-step children.
I come from a two-parent household. We have 4 children in our family. My dad was in law enforcement. He started off as, well, actually he went into the military right after high school, and then he was a police officer, and then he moved into being a detective. He was a crime scene investigator. And my mother, I've always known my mom, she was a supervisor. She was the one that managed a team. And I remember the names of some companies, but I remember them building things that would actually go on ships.
Very close-knit family. My mom and father, they both were North Carolina state government employees. My mom was in the education system. My father worked for the Department of Corrections. So we were a family close-knit. We always saw the 8 to 5 grind of working for the government. My father had a part-time job, so we saw him, but we didn't see him as much because he was making a way for his family. So Don and Hope were always bookworms. I mean, they would chew through books, big boxes of books. They would just read all the time, all summer long, just reading.
And I can remember a lot of our childhood friends, they would reference us as the Huxtables. Now, the Huxtables, he was a doctor, she was an attorney, and you're watching them and the different things that they were doing. We weren't doing those kinds of things, but people still saw us as such. My mom and dad, they were absolutely wonderful. They taught us well. We had responsibilities. My sister and I, chores.
Greg and I were always outside doing something. Whether it was digging up worms to go fishing. I mean, we would literally get up, take a hoe, dig into the earth, right? We had cows, so we had a big cow pasture in the back of the house. We would dig up worms and put the worms in a little jar, get on our bicycles and ride for miles to a fishing hole that we wanted to just go fishing, just stay gone all day.
My younger brother, we're 8 years apart. My older brother, he's 5 years my senior. Every Saturday morning, we iron my daddy's shirt for work. So all of his shirts were always ironed and ready for him to go to work the following week. While Soul Train was playing, I was ironing clothes. So we just took care of our responsibilities. My parents instilled so much in us. One thing that I can say is hard work.
We picked cucumbers. And, I think it speaks to who we are as adults today. My father and mother, we would get up. This is the summer now. School's out. My father would plant cucumbers. We would get up like 6 a.m.
My parents didn't make excuses. They did whatever needed to be done for it to be done. My dad was truly a protector. He saw a lot. He was a homicide detective. So I can remember one day in particular where we did have a conversation with him and where he was describing some things that he had seen.
It was like 100 degrees outside. And my father would take the earnings from those bags of cucumbers and he would split it 4 ways. And we would have to take our proceeds, give him half, put in the bank, and we were allowed to spend the other half. So this is how we grew up. I mean, while it was just brutal back then, it taught us a lot of lessons, and we loved it, man. It's who we are today.
He protected us even in the things that he shared.
My mother would always say, son, the only thing you have is your name and your credit.
We have always had a strong family. There has always been love, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Hey, look, Greg and I, we would go out with our father Saturday morning fishing. And we would catch fish. When we got home, we would clean the fish. My mom's in the house making coleslaw and had the fries ready to go in the grease. We saw how you don't go to the grocery store to get what you need. You go out and you catch it. And you go out and kill what you're going to eat, which is also a business principle.
It's Christmas time, and you know, I remember my mom and dad. And they had, apparently they ordered something and they had been waiting for it. So here it is Christmas, and there's this gift up under the tree wrapped, and it's from my little brother Travis.
All right, so funny story. So Greg was Superman and I was Batman. So we're jumping around on the metal building, and we hit we call it in the country, wasp. I'll say that, but it's wasp. A wasp nest, right?
Everybody's like, what in the world Travis get a gift from? He's a little boy, he don't have any money. Who's taking him somewhere? And when they open up the presents, mama and daddy are like, where you get this from? Where is Travis? And he said, ups.
So we jump up and pulled it down. And I was actually standing in the yard a little ways from Greg. He jumped up, pulled it down, and the wasp got behind him.
And everybody was like, ups. He was like, ups. He was like, ups. Ups came to the house. It was like, UPS. So UPS delivered my mom and dad's order, their package. Travis got it, opened it, said, hey, wrapped it, and put it under the tree. Come on. You gotta love it.
If you can think, and I'm sitting there as a kid and I'm playing, doing whatever, and I hear this screaming, and I look up and I see Greg running across the yard, and the little red, whatever he had on his neck, was flapping in the wind.
The latest styles, the trends, asymmetrical haircuts, the bobs, all of that, we did it. Erica would be the one to put more of the color in her hair than I would even do it. She would be the one that would look even more punk rock, you know.
And I'm like, my brother's Superman. So I mean, literally, I saw him running, and that sheet was just going behind her, and I'm like, but it was the wasp chasing. Go figure it, a child's imagination.
My dad was standing to the door looking, and he's watching her walk to the bus stop with her hair up and spiked. She's got on the outfit, she's got on the spiked belt, things around her neck, all kinds of stuff going on.
We had cows growing up. So one day, I think it was like middle school, no, it was high school. I was in the 9th grade. I had my white Reeboks. I had my Chicago Bulls shorts and shirt matching. I mean, I was the man, right?
And he yelled to her from the house, hey, I know you feel like a fool because you sure look like one. Oh my gosh, why did he do that? But it was hilarious.
So that morning we get up. My dad's already working. He worked first shift at the prison. So we get up, we're dressed, I got my uniform, you know, I'm the man, right? So we go outside, and the cows have gotten out of the fence. My dad says, Mamie, tell those boys, get the cows back in the fence. So mom says this to us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got my brand new uniform.
We're driving this particular day, and we're going down this little narrow street. It's called State Street. Well, we're driving through, and there's a lot of people, you know, on the street. He's a police officer, right? But he's just cruising along. It's all good. Well, all of a sudden, this gentleman, this man, he starts looking at us in the car, and he just begins to go off.
I'm outside, and Greg and I just running behind these cows, sweating. My whole outfit just tore up. And here's the bus go by. And then I just get mad. I'm like, my brand new clothes are just getting in shambles.
I'm thinking he's intoxicated.
I hear running behind cows, right?
Quiet in the car. My sister and I are in the back seat, and we're just looking. My mom, Henry, Go ahead on, Henry. Now I know this now, I didn't know this then, but since the story's been told, my mother actually had her finger on the lock and she just had it pushed to keep the car locked. And Daddy, now listen to me, he's driving slowly, he don't want to hit anybody, just going on about our business. He's not even paying this man any of attention. Do you know, all of a sudden that man took his hand and looking at Daddy, and then he took his hand and said, bam! And he hit the windshield of the car.
As a child, I used to gnaw on my crib.
My dad hit brakes, boom! So everybody jerks. And my mama is praying, Henry, your family in the car, your family's in the car, your family's in the car. And he just sitting there. I'm telling you, I honestly believe because my mom was there saying to him, Henry, your children, Henry, come on, Henry. So what he does, comes off and he goes on and he gets us home.
My nieces, they call me Uncle BB. Now, I'll be 44 in October, and they're still calling me Uncle BB. I don't know why it sticks, but hey, it's okay.
I find out later when we got home, my mother actually took the keys and she hid them because my dad had intentions on going back out there to deal with him.
I learned a valuable lesson in karate. We went to a competition, and it was time for me to do kata. And you know, kata it has to be precise, it has to look good. So I watched myself on the pictures doing the kata. And if I could, you know, as you can imagine, the punches were going across my body as I did the katas, right? And the kicks and the punches were just off rhythm.
But on that particular day, I don't know what it was, but it's something that made him so angry because my mom hid those keys. He didn't go anywhere.
This is what I did. I went home and I didn't win. I went home and I said, okay, something's up here. I started practicing the kata. And instead of punching and crossing my body, I would make the more defined connections and the kicks.
As much love as I had and I knew I had, as much as my family and as strong as we were and how we supported each other, I still had a dark place because I experienced things growing up that I really didn't talk about and I didn't share.
After I practiced the next competition, I won a trophy in kata. I remember that, and it taught me to work on me.
How many of you can relate to people really not liking you because of who you are?
I would run sprints in the front yard to get better. And this is all the stuff that I thought about doing, and I did it. I remember senior year, one of my good friends, he's an attorney now. He said to me one day, he said, Dex, what's up with you, man? You know, you got your head down on the desk, you're sleeping. It was math class. I had my head down. And he said that to me, and it actually made me think, it's like, okay, you're not putting out what you could do.
Not that you've done anything to him, not that you're a bad person, not that you've done anything bad, but because of who you are, because of your gifts, because of your abilities, things that you may not even know you have.
My freshman year, college, 1.9 GPA. My goodness. Academic probation, first semester of college, where I got there goofing around, drinking, all that kind of foolishness. And it took me a while to get it together, but I did.
But because of those types of giftings, there are people who just don't like you for whatever reason. I was rejected. I was rejected for being light-skinned. And I remember growing up, and I used to walking through the hallways of junior high, and I was like, man, I can't wait to be grown. Because when you're grown, people are not going to talk about you. Because grown people don't talk about you. Grown people don't hurt each other. This is just little kid stuff. So as a little girl, I saw it as childish. Wow, I've grown up. And these things don't stop.
So my senior year of college, I actually made the vice chancellor's list and the chancellor's list with a 3.5.
I was rejected for having long hair. I was ridiculed because my mother straightened our hair oftentimes and would curl it sometimes and put a little ponytail in and curl the back long. I was questioned as to why I didn't have my hair in cornrows. I had nothing to do with that. It wasn't my decision.
You know, basically my story is all throughout my life elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and even into life. There are two quotes that I authored. One that says, remain in the pursuit of becoming, because if you ever catch yourself, you might slip into mediocrity.
I kept those types of things in. So these were things that were seeded into me as a little girl, and they grew up with me. And it gave me insecurities. I was insecure about who I was. I was insecure about how I looked. I was insecure about just being. I'm in a place of desiring to belong. You want to fit in. You want to be liked, becoming a people pleaser. Don't want to make, enemies, mistakes, things of that nature. That's kind of the way that I was. And it's a dangerous place to be because you will find yourself accepting any and everything. There's a song to me, it's almost like my own anthem, if you will, by Katy Perry, Roar. And I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I sit quietly, agree politely. That was me. And I did that for much of my life. Right now, here it is, 2017, and I am 47 years old. And do you know when these things begin to really break off of my life? It's been over the last 3 to 4 years.
At the end of each day, we have not challenged our own mediocrity. We are destined to repeat a cycle of complacency.
I can remember an uncle of mine, his name is Mose Cannon, and I can remember him sharing this with me and my husband, and it stuck with us. And he said, you can't keep a bird from flying over your head, but you can keep it from creating and building a nest. That bird may fly, but it would be up to me to let that bird build the nest upon my head.
My wife Tonya and I, interestingly enough, we met at the bank. I was a former loan officer for a local bank, and my wife came in at the time to get a loan. And things just came together over the years.
At the time, I was already married. I was married, and we needed a consolidation loan. I was working in a different direct sales company at the time, along with my part-time job. He was just a good guy. It was just, hey, this is Dexter. After I lost my husband, I was a widow at the age of 29. It rocked my world. I remember in my mind, it's gonna be me and my daughter for the rest of my life. He said, let me call Tonya and see how she's doing. So he phoned me, and hello? Hey, Tonya, how you doing? Dexter. I recognized his voice. Hey. And it was like, oh my God, it's so good to hear from you. And we just kind of catching up. I said, well, let's do dinner. Let's do lunch or something. And while we were at dinner, he says the Lord is speaking to him. And the Lord actually spoke to him and told him, this is your wife. So while he and the Lord over there having a conversation, I was eating chicken wings.
We were able to come together. She had a beautiful daughter. I had a beautiful daughter. We always desired to have children together. So we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, both of your tubes are blocked. You can't have children. Enjoy the children that you have. It went in one ear and out of the other for me, and I pointed up this way. And I was like, whose report are you going to believe?
Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass, but it's about learning how to dance in the rain. And I had to learn how to dance in the rain.
Tonya at the time had a coworker, and he said, you know what you guys need to do? You need to fast for 9 days. And we said, let's do it. This is something that we spoke into existence. Our room was occupied, Talia's room was occupied. We had 2 empty bedrooms. One of those rooms we named the baby's room. So we began to say, put it in the baby's room, put it in the baby's room, put it in the everything began, just put it upstairs in the baby's room. It became a part of our subconscious thinking. We didn't even have to think about it. Tonya felt she felt strange one day, so she decided to take a test. And bam, she's pregnant. And we were like, yes, Tonya's pregnant. Months later, after Morgan was born, she was pregnant again with Tyler. And that's the story. Babies is plural.
I was able to get out of my own way. Basically, it was almost by force. My husband lost his job. That's when I really began to get out of my own way. We were in a position where there was no income coming into the household, so we had to get started.
With the financial situation and with the neighborhood going down, we got behind on our mortgage and we filed for some assistance. And we got to the point where we had a Toyota Sienna van that we no longer make the payments on. And it was time for repossession. So I called Toyota and I said, look, we want to give you guys the van. He said, okay, sir, no problem. Thank you for calling. Do you want us to come to your house to get it? I said, no, I will meet you. And I decided I would meet you at a Walmart. It was a parking lot, a Walmart parking lot about 20 minutes from our house. We were in the parking lot of the Walmart. And here comes the wrecker from Toyota. And I shake the gentleman's hand with as much dignity as I possibly could have as a man. Gave him the keys. We sat there for a moment. And, I never told my wife that I fought back the tears. Even though she was sitting on the passenger side, I fought back the tears of that moment. And I saw him put it up on the wrecker, and I watched him drive it away. That was a hard moment for me, not only as a father, as a husband, but as a provider for my family.
There's opposition that could come your way. How would you handle the opposition? But when you make the decision to persevere, it actually builds you up. It builds you up as a person, that character. And that's something that I've learned. That's something I've had to learn. That's something that we instill in our children.
When I think about my son Tyler, I think about the example that my father set for Greg and I.
I can remember dropping her off at school. And here I am, mommy, driving the car, and she's getting out of the car, and she's grabbing her book bag to put it on her shoulder. And a little boy walking by, he looks at her, and he was like, there go Talia with your fat self, something like that. I'm mommy. I'm sitting right here with her. She's getting out of her car. He says it. And she turned around, and she said, so?
Talia's kind of hard to describe. You can tell Talia some things, right? And you'll see her processing those things, but you won't know what she's thinking at the time. It'll come out later.
With everything I went through as a little girl, oh, you gotta hear me on this one. I grew up with her as she was going through being a little girl.
Kiara's that daughter where you have to let her figure it out and let her communicate it to you. She's gonna tell you at the right time. And that's just her personality. You can ask her a question, whether it's open-ended or closed, you're gonna get exactly what she wants you to have at the time.
One of the things that I won't gonna allow to happen is for this stuff to come in you and you believe it.
Everybody loves to be around Morgan. Now she's hitting those early teens, and you just don't know who she is. I mean, she comes in the house, and one minute she's like this, the next minute she's like this, and you're like, okay, who are you today? That's the question, right?
If you really want to be happy, then you have to love, you have to first just accept and love being yourself. Be yourself.
God is the man, I couldn't ask for a more beautiful family. All the different dynamics come together, and it is a chorus that anybody would want to sing.
There's so much we could do. There's so much we can do in life just by learning how to take the things that we're good at and making it happen.
This is Dexter L. Scott, and this is my story.
I've shared a whole lot about things that were seeded to me, but I want you to think about this. Those who tried to bury you didn't know that you were a seed. They may have buried you, they may have said some things, they may have done some things to you, but the deeper they put you in the ground, but the more God waters you with the truth of who you are, I want you to know what's getting ready to grow and come up out of that is nothing short of beautiful and magnificent.
We are the upgraders, adding value in every area of your life. We may not know you, but we know what's in you.
That's who you are. That's who I am. I'm Tonya Joyner-Scott, proud co-owner with the Upgraders, and this is my story.
The Upgraders. The greatest. The greatest.